Hi everyone, welcome to another math lesson. This is lesson 33, session 5, so it's the last day of this lesson, and I'm on page 739. So since this is session 5, the last day, this is typically the day when you guys would be doing these pages independently or like in a small group with your teacher at like a side table. So try and do this session on your own. So try these problems by yourself, then watch this video to check your answers, okay? Unless you're still very, very confused, need a lot of help with it, then, do them with me. But ideally, by this day of the lesson, you're able to solve these problems by yourself, okay? And on the sides of these pages, there's lots of hints. So every little thing on the side is something to help you solve whatever problems it's next to, okay? So use those if you need help, and then play this video once you're ready to check your answers. So let's get started. Hopefully you notice that on the example problem there's no solution. You have to solve the example problem on this one. So it says, do any of the shapes below have at least one pair of parallel sides and at least one right angle? If yes, list the shapes. If no, explain. Okay, so they already did the work for us. They already looked at each shape, shape A, shape B, shape C, and shape D. And if it has parallel sides, they put an X. And if it has a right angle, they put an X. So let's just double check their work. A definitely has parallel sides. And it's a square, so it has right angles. So they're correct, it has both. B does not have any parallel sides. Even though these are across from each other, they're kind of slanted inward, so if you continued those sides forever, they would eventually touch. They'd eventually meet. It does have a right angle up here though, but it doesn't have both, so it only has an X for the right angle. C has parallel lines, top and bottom, left and right sides are parallel, but no right angles. And D, the top is parallel to the bottom, and there's a right angle here and here. So, which shapes have both? Just A and D. So for our solution, yes, there are shapes that have both. Both shapes A and D. Star for A, star for D. Okay. Number 1. Nate and Alicia play Draw My Shape. Nate says, my shape has 2 pairs of parallel sides, 2 acute angles, and 2 obtuse angles. Alicia draws the rectangle below. Explain why Alicia's answer is incorrect. So if this is what Nate said to draw, 2 pairs of parallel sides, 2 acute angles, 2 obtuse angles, and then Alicia goes and draws this rectangle, why is she wrong? Okay, so she's right about the 2 pairs of parallel sides. This is parallel to the bottom, so it's 1 pair. The left side is parallel to the right side. So there are 2 pairs of parallel sides, but are there 2 acute angles and 2 obtuse angles? Definitely not. There are only 4 right angles. So she is incorrect because a rectangle has 4 right angles. Or you could have said a rectangle does not have 2 acute angles and 2 obtuse angles. That would be a good explanation too. Okay, so 1 star for your solution. If you're working with me or need to change your answer, pause to catch up and finish writing that. So I'm moving on to page 740. Okay, number 2. Tell how the sides and angles of the shapes below are alike and different. Okay, so how are they alike? How are they different? The square and the rhombus. Well, sides and angles. Let's see. The sides are similar because there's a pair of parallel lines here and here, and another pair left and right sides are parallel. Same with the rhombus. The top is parallel to the bottom. Left side is parallel to the right side. Okay, so that's something that's alike between both of them. That's a similarity. So both shapes have two pairs of parallel lines. Okay, that's something similar. What's different about them though? So now we can think about the angles, because the angles are definitely different. This square has 1, 2, 3, 4 right angles, but this rhombus has an acute, obtuse, acute, and obtuse angles. So the angles are totally different. The square has 4 right angles. And the rhombus has 2 acute, 2 obtuse. I just shortened those. Ran out of space on that one. Okay, so the things that are the same, they both have 2 pairs of parallel lines, but their angles are very different. 4 right angles here, 2 obtuse, 2 acute angles on the rhombus. Okay, so for your similarities, I'll give you a star, and for your differences, I'll give you a star. Okay, if I'm moving fast, it's for a good reason. It's because we're just checking our answers. So if you're trying to keep up with me and fill out all this at the same time, you should be trying it on your own first. Number 3, which is the best name for the triangle shown? Oh, okay, so here we get back into our complicated triangle names again, okay? So I want to double check my angles real quick. So that's a right angle. They already put the little red box there for me. And this is acute, and this is acute. So let's look at our handy dandy poster. So angle types, all 3 angles are acute. Not true because I have a right angle. And if I do have a right angle, that means it's going to be a right triangle. So a right needs to be in the name somewhere. So I can take out A and I can take out B because both of those were acute triangles. Okay, and ours has a right angle. Not all 3 are acute. So it's either a right isosceles triangle or a right scalene triangle. So we have to figure out the difference between isosceles and scalene. And that has to do with the type of sides it has. So here's those two, isosceles and scalene. Isosceles means that 2 sides are the same length. Scalene means that no sides are the same length. They're all different lengths. Okay, so if we look at this triangle here, here's a really long side, here's a medium side, and a short side. So I think, even though they didn't label them, all 3 sides are different lengths. Okay, so that would make it a scalene triangle. So it is a right scalene triangle. Give yourself a star if you said D. Ricky chose B as the correct answer. How did he get that answer? So Ricky thought it was an acute scalene triangle. He got the scalene part right, but he said it was an acute. So why would he choose that? Maybe he thought this right angle was an acute angle. Okay, remember acute triangles have to have all 3 acute angles. This one does not, it has a right angle. So we're correct, he's wrong, Ricky is wrong. Maybe, oops, he thought the right angle was an acute angle. Okay, so that's it. That's what he must have thought, right? All 3 were acute. And this pair share right here at the bottom, I really like. So this is something to ask a neighbor, to ask yourself. Could a triangle ever have 2 right angles? Okay, so let's try it. There's 1 right angle. And another right angle, I would have to go straight out from one of these to make another perfect square corner, right? So if I did it up here, well, there's 2 right angles, but is that gonna make a triangle? No, it's not a triangle, okay? So no, a triangle can never have 2 right angles. impossible. You can have one, but the other two would have to be acute angles to make that third line connect, right? Okay, page 700, and wait, we need a star for your explanation about why Ricky was wrong. So now we can do number 4. Okay, which is the best name for the group of shapes below? So, process of elimination, let's go through each and figure it out. A says these are all shapes with acute angles. Well, this square, rectangle, and this rectangle definitely don't have any acute angles. Those are all right angles because they're perfect square corners. So, nope. Shapes with right angles. Okay, well that's true for this one, and this one, but this rhombus and this rhombus don't have right angles. So, no. Shapes with parallel sides. Okay, that could work. So this side is parallel to that side. This side is parallel to that one. Same with the square. All the opposite sides on all of these shapes are parallel. That side, left side, right side, top, bottom. Okay, so that one works, but let's just double check. D says shapes with perpendicular sides. Remember, perpendicular sides are ones that make a right angle. Okay, the square and the two rectangles have perpendicular sides, but the rhombuses do not. There's no right angles, so can't have perpendicular lines in a rhombus. So it's C, shapes with parallel sides. Give yourself a star if you said C. Okay, number 5. Sort the 4 shapes below. Use the characteristics shown in the table. Draw each shape in each column where it belongs. Some shapes may belong in more than one column. Ooh, okay, this is gonna be tough. So we're gonna look at one shape at a time. Okay, so I'm gonna cover up the other shapes and I'm just gonna look at the equilateral triangle for a second, okay? So I need to draw the equilateral triangle in every column it belongs in, and it can be in more than one. I can draw it more than once if it belongs there. So this triangle, shapes with at least one acute angle. Okay, does it belong in that category? There's an acute, acute, acute. So yeah, equilateral triangle should be in that category. Shapes with at least one pair of perpendicular sides. Well, there's no right angle there, so no perpendicular sides, so I'm not going to draw it there. Shapes with at least one pair of parallel sides. Okay, definitely no parallel sides on a triangle there. So can't draw it there either. So the equilateral triangle should just be right here. So give yourself a star for that triangle. Okay, next shape, since we're done with the triangle, parallelogram. I'll label my angles. There's acute, acute, obtuse, obtuse. So it does have at least one acute angle, so my parallelogram, rough drawing, goes there. Shapes with at least one pair of perpendicular sides. I don't have any perpendicular sides on my parallelogram because I don't have any right angles. Perpendicular sides make a right angle, so it does not go there. But I do have parallel sides on a parallelogram. Top is parallel to the bottom, left side parallel to the right side. Okay, so I need to draw it in this category. So if you put your parallelogram in the first column and the third column, get a star for each. Okay, next shape is a square. Squares have all right angles. So it does not belong in this category because it doesn't have any acute angles. It does have perpendicular sides though. So this side is perpendicular to this side because they make a right angle between them. Same with this one and this one. Top and right, right and bottom. So there's my square. And parallel sides, definitely. Top is parallel to the bottom, left side parallel to the right side. So my square goes here also. Okay, so star, star. Last shape, a right trapezoid. Okay, so acute angle, yep, there's one. So I need to try and recreate that. Okay, remember I'm holding the rest of the book with the other hand over here, so it makes it complicated to draw these very nicely. Definitely has an acute angle. Perpendicular sides, yep. There's a right angle here, so this side is parallel to the bottom. There's a right angle over here, so the right side is parallel to the, or perpendicular to the top. So it belongs in this category as well. Okay, and parallel sides. The top is parallel to the bottom, so it goes in all three categories actually. Okay, star, star, star. So that was a tricky one, but it was worth a ton of stars. It was worth 8 stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. So this is a problem that if we were in class, in our regular classrooms, this is something that you would have seen on your quiz probably. Something complicated like that where you have to like redraw them or rewrite them in the right categories. Okay. I'm going to turn the page and pause for a second because my cat is trying to kill himself. Just a second. Mac, get out of here. Okay, sorry for the interruption. He needed some attention. Okay, true and false. A right scalene triangle can have 3 different kinds of angles. Okay, so a right scalene triangle, I'm going to draw these. So a right triangle has a right angle. Scalene means it has 3 different lengths of sides though, so I need to make one of these much longer than the other. Okay. So that's a right scalene triangle. This is acute and this is acute. Okay, so are there 3 different kinds of angles there? No, just 2 different kinds. There's a right angle and there are acute angles, but that's only 2 kinds. There's no third. There's no obtuse angle here, right? There's no way we could have a right angle and an obtuse angle in the same triangle. So that is false. A right isosceles triangle has 2 right angles. Well, we tried that before, remember? We tried that a second ago. It can't have 2 right angles. Like I can't make another right angle here. It's not going to be a triangle. So a right isosceles would be like one of these where the right angle's at the top and these 2 sides are the same length and you connect them with a longer side, but there's not going to be 2 right angles there. There's only one because this is acute and that's acute. So that is also false. An equilateral triangle is also an acute triangle. So equilateral triangles have all 3 sides the same length. So when you picture a triangle, it's probably an equilateral triangle that you're picturing. Okay, like just a typical basic triangle. All 3 sides the same is also an acute triangle. Well, that would mean that all 3 angles have to be acute, and that is definitely true. All equilateral triangles are also acute triangles because all 3 angles are always going to be acute. Okay, and a triangle can have 2 perpendicular sides. Well, perpendicular sides means it has to have a right angle, so if I draw a right triangle, then this side is perpendicular to this side. So yeah, 2 perpendicular sides. This side perpendicular to that one. It doesn't say 2 pairs of perpendicular sides. It just says 2 perpendicular sides, like this and this. That's 2. Makes a right angle. If it said 2 pairs of perpendicular sides, that would be impossible because I can't do 2 right angles, right? All right, number 7. Okay, divide the shapes below into 2 groups. Give each group a title that tells what all the shapes in that group have in common. Then describe another shape that belongs in each group. Okay, so since this is a math journal one, this is your own answer. So you can come up with different ideas for different groups. So you'll do like group 1 and group 2. Okay, and you can sort them based on parallel lines or perpendicular lines or what kind of angles it has. So you can do a group with just right angles or has at least 1 acute angle or something like that. Okay, so that's pretty open-ended though. There's a lot of right answers. You could do multiple different combinations for that, okay? So if you have space to do that down here, that's great. If not, and you need to do it on scratch paper, please do, and then you can turn that in with this workbook page once we're ready to turn those in. Give yourself a star though for group 1 and group 2 if you did that. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Congratulations for finishing this lesson. The next one we're doing is symmetry, and then we have to circle back to fractions. But symmetry will be fun. Bye guys.